All right, welcome back. Today we are diving headfirst into a topic that, let's be honest, every organization dreads, but almost no one is truly ready for. We're talking about a full-blown crisis. We're going to break down the communication playbook for when everything, and I mean everything, is on the line.
So what does happen when the worst-case scenario becomes reality? I mean, really think about it. Your product fails spectacularly. There's a massive data breach. A huge public mistake is made. The worst has officially happened. Well, what you do and what you say in those first critical hours, that can literally define your company for the next 10 years. No pressure, right?
And here it is. This is the absolute heart of the matter. Because in a crisis, what's the very first casualty? It's not the stock price, not the operational side of things. It's trust. Trust is the first thing to go. And that is your single most valuable asset. It's so fragile, and when things go wrong, protecting it, or let's be real, rebuilding it, that becomes job number one, period.
Okay, so how do you even begin to do that? How do you protect that trust? Well, it all comes down to a really solid foundation. Your entire response, everything you do, has to be built on what we're calling the 3 pillars of crisis communication. These are going to guide every single decision, every press release, and literally every word you say.
Pillar number 1, transparency. Now listen, this is so important. This doesn't just mean sharing the good news or the easy stuff. It's about being almost radically honest. It's about having the guts to stand up and say, look, here's what we know right now, here's what we don't know yet, and here's exactly what we're doing to get you those answers. You know, that level of honesty, it builds incredible credibility, even when the news you're sharing is bad.
Okay, pillar number 2 is all about being timely. Because in a crisis, silence is your absolute worst enemy. It is a killer. Anytime there's a vacuum of information, it's going to get filled, and fast, usually with rumors, speculation, and just plain wrong information. By getting out there quickly and telling people when they can expect the next update, you get to control the narrative. You become the go-to source for what's actually happening.
And our 3rd pillar, which might just be the most important, is empathy. And let me be clear, this is not just about a lawyer-approved "we're sorry" statement. No way. This is about genuinely showing you understand the human impact of what happened. You have to acknowledge how this affects your customers, your employees, your community. You know, facts are great, they inform, but empathy is what connects. It proves you get that this isn't just a PR problem, it's a people problem.
All right, so we've got our 3 pillars: transparency, timeliness, empathy. That's our foundation. Now let's talk about putting them into practice, because let's face it, when you're under that kind of intense scrutiny, you're not just talking to one audience. You're dealing with a lot of different groups, and they all want something different from you.
And this is where things get really nuanced. You have to have 2 different but parallel conversations happening. When you're talking to the public, your customers, the community, your number 1 goal is reassurance. You lead with that empathy we talked about, and you give them clear, simple, actionable info. But when you're talking to the media, the goal shifts. They need hard, verified facts to do their jobs. So your tone becomes more direct, more factual. It's all about consistency to make sure the reporting is accurate. See? Same crisis, but 2 totally different approaches. Both are absolutely critical.
But through all of this, there is one golden rule, one thread that has to tie everything together, and that's alignment. It all starts with your core values, who you say you are as an organization.
Then, those values have to drive your actions. I'm talking about the real, tangible steps you take to actually fix the problem.
And finally, your words. Every single thing you say publicly has to be a direct reflection of those values and those actions.
Because here's the bottom line. In a crisis, these 3 things, your values, your actions, and your words, they have to speak as one. The second there's a gap between what you believe, what you do, and what you say, your credibility is gone, instantly. You know, getting through the initial chaos, that's really only half the battle. Once the storm passes and the cameras go away, that's when the really hard work begins, rebuilding. And the goal here isn't just to get back to where you were, it's about using this as a chance to build back stronger.
So what does that roadmap to recovery look like? Well, it's got 3 key steps. First, you've got to be proactive with your reputation. No more just reacting. Now you're shaping the story of your comeback. Step 2, you have to deepen your engagement with your community. This is where you get out there, you listen, and you show them you've actually learned your lesson. And finally, step 3, you have to reinforce accountability. This means making real, visible changes that prove to the world this isn't going to happen again.
Because here's the thing, and this is the ultimate goal. The point isn't just to survive a crisis. A crisis is like a crucible.
It's a fiery test, and if you handle it right, you can come out the other side with a reputation that's even stronger, more resilient, and way more trustworthy than it was before you went in.
So as we wrap things up here, let's just boil it all down. What should you really take away from all this? First, a crisis is, at its core, a test of your credibility. Second, your response absolutely has to be transparent, timely, and empathetic. That's non-negotiable. And finally, maybe the most important point of all, rebuilding trust requires deliberate action, not just words. Words are easy, actions are what matter.
And in the end, it really all comes down to this single idea. A crisis doesn't build character, it reveals it. It strips everything away and shows the world who your organization truly is when the pressure is on. So the question I want to leave you with is this: when your moment comes, what will your character say?